We're doing something a little bit different today. I don't really have much of a plan. I mean, well, that's not entirely true. I know where I'm headed, and I know I'm taking you with me. And I know there are a few things that I probably want to chat with you about along the way. But this isn't like the type of thing that we normally do here on the channel, but it is the type of thing that I used to do. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a bit. But for now, let's make our way out. We got some exploring to do. So, and the weather is beautiful. It's like 55 degrees. So let's get rocking and rolling. Oh, okay, that's coming from a truck. A fire truck just went by a second ago, and I was like, that's weird music for a fire truck. Also, we've got some friends over here that have decided to join us. There's like an entire flock of birds. What a way to start a day. Anyway, so I decided to pull off in an area called The Loop. Right now, I'm in a pretty empty parking lot. We've got a Kohl's there, we've got a Famous Footwear there. I think there's a Chick-fil-A out that direction. And I figured I'd just, pull off and tell you a little bit about what my plan is for today. Plan in big air quotes there. So today, at least for me, is, what do you want to call it? Like a housekeeping day? A recon day. That's probably the best way to say it. Every now and again, I want to go explore a new place and just kind of check things out and take you guys along with me, but you can't always go into these things blind. Sometimes you have to go and scope the place out so you know what to expect. And today that's basically what I'm doing. I know that in the near future, I want to go grab something from this little place that I saw the other day. I've heard a little bit about it on social media, like it's popped up on my feed, and I just happened to stumble into it. I have a doctor's appointment out in this area of Kissimmee, and I drove past. I was like, oh, we got to go check this out. But it's kind of a small little place, and while I do want to go grab a soda and some cookies, maybe some other snacks if they have them, I want to see if there's anywhere else in the nearby area that I can share with you. Now, I could do that on Google Maps, and I have kind of scoped things out like that, but sometimes it's a lot more fun, actually more often than not, it's a lot more fun to just kind of comb an area and see what you stumble into. So that's basically what we're gonna do today. And I figure you guys might want to come along with me. Also, for those of you who have been asking about like what I used to do prior to the Two Foolish Mortals channel and what things look like, you're gonna get a little bit of insight into that today, because this is what previous vlogs used to look like. And this is what I used to do and take you guys along with me all the time when we were kind of wandering around Japan. So I know that this isn't Japan, but if you ever wondered what it was like to check out my vlogs from Japan, this is what it was like. Also, I just did bang my elbow. It happens. I'm a little bit clumsy every now and again. I also want to touch on that because I know some of you have been wondering about like what my life was like prior to being here. But I'm not going to dig too much into it. We'll save that for later though. Let's jump in and make our way kind of down that direction over to the, I don't know if it's the downtown Kissimmee area or the historic Kissimmee area. This is why we do this ahead of time sometimes, because we got to work out these details. But yeah, let's go. So we're a couple minutes down the road now. I honestly don't know how long we've been driving. I've just kind of been jamming out. But based on what I was listening to, like punk from the late 70s, early 80s maybe, there was a song in there from the 90s. We're probably like 6 to 8 minutes down the road. I'm currently in the St. John's Episcopal Church parking lot, and just over the fence over there is Kissimmee Corner, spelled with a K. It's like a little shopping plaza. It looks like they have tacos, salon, some other stuff. So anyway, I ended up here right now because I saw a sign. There was a sign that said Heritage Park and an arrow, and I took that to mean next left. I am realizing now it probably was not the next left. It was probably the next left. So here I am in this parking lot. I am gonna look at Google Maps and see if I can find what it is that I was hoping to stumble into, because I was almost thinking that the park behind me might be that park. It doesn't say anything on Google Maps. That just might be like the churchyard or something. Vines Soccer Academy, that's what it says. I mean, that does make sense. There are soccer goals back there on that field. So you know. Anyway, no big deal. You know, this is what it's all about. Just kind of wandering around and seeing what you stumble into. So we're gonna keep going. Unfortunately, the road that we're on right here is a one-way, and it's like a divided road. So we do have to double back a little bit before we can move forward. But you know, it is what it is. And then we'll see if we can stumble into this heritage park. I'm wondering if I take the light, because there's a light right there. I wonder if I take the light and kind of go around, if I'll pop out over there. I don't know, but we won't know until we try. So let's do it, you know? Welcome to another parking lot, which I know might not necessarily seem that interesting, but that's just the nature of the beast. When you want to find cool stuff, sometimes you have to find yourself in less than cool places. And I mean, it is kind of like construction-y over there. There are people in hard hats. I mean, that's very exciting. So here's what happened. I ended up on Oak Street, which is definitely not where I wanted to be. I ended up kind of making my way into the vicinity of that doctor that I mentioned earlier. So I knew I wanted to turn around, pulled into a parking lot. Huge mistake because it's a very crowded parking lot, but you know, it happens. And then I figured I'd pull out my phone and see if I could find this heritage park that I was looking for. Now, I couldn't find what I thought I was going to find. I ended up stumbling upon the Osceola, I think it's Osceola Heritage Park, which is like the place where the stuff happens, like Meekum auctions, stuff like that, which I think we should check out next time it's in town. It was just recently here and I was like, I don't know. And now I'm thinking like we should have done it, you know? It would have been fun. Now I continued to poke around because I'm not entirely sure that that's what I saw a sign for, because that's not really close to where we are. Like, it's just odd that there would be a sign for that where I turned. But I also saw that there are like some communities here, like neighborhoods, gated communities, I suppose you could say, that are called Heritage Park, whatever. So I was like, you know what? We're moving on from that. I did see that there is a nature preserve not too far from where we're sitting right now. So I popped that into the GPS and we're gonna go check it out. Did I say Osceola Nature Preserve or something like that? I feel like I said something that was wrong. It's the Oak Street Extension Reserve, and it's over here, but this is not the parking for the area. In fact, I don't even know what this is over here. There is a Twice the Ice little ice company, you know, little ice station, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, that walking path is the walking path in question. I don't know if the sign says anything. No, it just says no motor vehicles. So there's not really any place to park over here, but that does look like a lovely walk. And I know I am parked right here, but I don't know who this belongs to. So I wouldn't just leave the Jeep here. I definitely wouldn't recommend parking here, but look at how lovely this is. Isn't it beautiful? I wonder if we keep driving around this area, if we'll happen upon like a parking lot, because I did see when I was kind of Googling this just quickly that there was like a sign or something. But over here, it looks like there's a mural on this building as well. We should go check that out. I love stumbling into stuff like this. And you gotta be willing to take the time and look, because otherwise you'll pass right by it. Oh, this is really cool. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. The sun's a little bright. Let me step into the shade. Maybe you'll get a better look at the colors. Isn't that awesome? Wicked cool. All right, let's make our way back to the Jeep and see if we can find a proper place to park for this, because this would be a cool place to come and do a nice walk too. See if we can get lucky. Before we take off, I wanted to pull up the map and see if I can get a sense of which direction I want to head so that we can find what we're ultimately looking for. And it doesn't seem like there's a road that does what I want it to do. Now, if you're seeing what I'm seeing here, it might look like if I walk down this way a bit, there'll be like another area potentially, but it's not another area. I couldn't show you when we were driving past, but it's just the side of the road. So there's no pull off or anything like that for us to park or start our journey. Honestly, I think that this is the best place because the path is right here, you know? But here's the thing. I did notice that there's another park, Brinson Park, that is off Neptune Road. So what I'm thinking is if we kind of double back a little bit, make our way up East Oak Street and over to Brinson Park, that might be what we're looking for, because there's like this green space on the map, right? And then there's like another body of water, and then there's this park. So I'm wondering if they're like kind of connected. I don't know. So I popped this new park into the GPS. We're gonna make our way over there, and I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky. We'll be able to hang out over there, check out some cool views, and maybe there'll be a good spot for us to stop and have a bite to eat or something, you know, for our future adventure out this way. You know the drill. Buckle up. We're heading out. Guys, I think we found what we were looking for. Or if it wasn't exactly what we were looking for, it was close enough, because check this out. We're 5 minutes down the road from where we were a second ago. Look at that. We're in this nice little parking lot, beautiful view in front of us. We've got a dock for fishing, I think, and I want to say that there are some bathrooms. I don't know if there's anything else in this little hut area. We're gonna go check it out though. And I had actually turned down, I want to say it was Lakefront Boulevard, and there's a walking path like all throughout here with benches and signs for the animals that you might stumble into if you're, you know, wandering, or you might see through the little binoculars that they have. This is why we do this. This is why. I mean, come on. Isn't this just gorgeous? You know, this is one of the things that I love about Florida as a place, is it's such a diverse area. By the way, here's the little parking area that I was telling you about. It's not huge, but it's enough. There's a few more spots down this direction. It's like, yeah, we have the theme parks. That's wonderful. We have beaches. That's wonderful. And no, we don't have mountains or snow or whatever, but there are so many pockets of just beautiful places that you can explore without having to drive too far. It's just, I love it. This is one of the reasons that I love it here. It's just fantastic. But all right, let's go check out that little hut. I think it is just bathrooms, but I want to go take a look. So let's go. Yeah, so just some bathrooms, both men and women. Only a couple stalls in each one, but you know, it's clean enough. Doesn't need to be fancy or anything like that. Looks like we have the fishing pier here. Oh, okay. So here's a map kind of showing us where we are. That is so cool. It's really nice out here. Then there are some picnic tables and benches. This is just a really nice place to spend some time. So while I'm here and I have a second, let me tell you a little bit about our time in Japan. For those of you who have been curious about that, I'll set you on this picnic table next to this giant grill. Look at how big this grill is. Anyway, so we lived in Japan for 10 years. This is one of those things that we mention every now and again. You know, I mentioned it today, and I've mentioned it in the past. You know, sometimes we go to like an Asian market or I eat something and I'm like, oh, this is just like when we lived in Japan. We lived in Japan for 10 years. It's actually where Russ and I kind of started our lives together. So that's why for us, Japan feels like home in many ways. Also because we spent so much time there.
Guess where I am? On a bouncy bridge.
I am so nauseous right now.
And during that time, we lived in a couple different places, starting off in Okinawa, which is this small island off the southern coast. And then eventually we moved to mainland Japan, living not too far from Hiroshima. I spent a lot of time in Hiroshima. Anyway, it's there in Japan that I started doing this. You know, I really dug into being a travel writer and ultimately making travel videos for you guys, taking you along on my adventures, doing a lot of stuff like we're doing today. Just kind of getting in the car, on the motorcycle, or just strapping on my shoes and walking up and down the streets, looking for something that caught my eye. You can find some awesome stuff all over Japan, but especially in Okinawa, I think. If you just look, you'll go to some random places. And you know, it was a little bit different back then because we didn't have smartphones to start off, and I also was in Japan. So when we wanted to, you know, tell you about whatever it was that we stumbled upon, we had to like take photos, try and translate that. That was very difficult, much more difficult than it is today. And I'll tell you what, that was a lot of work, but it also was a ton of fun because I learned so many things. I was able to connect with so many people, and it was a great time. I had a really fantastic time. I don't talk about it too much though anymore, mainly because, you know, it makes me a little sad that I'm no longer in that place that I loved to be, but also I just don't have the knowledge or the connections that I did before to answer the questions like some people want me to. It's actually why I took down my channels about Japan. They're private now, because while I have a lot of videos and took you guys to some amazing places, and the videos still exist, you know, it's not something I want to focus too much on. I try to look forward toward the next thing. So that's what I've been doing here on the channel, but also trying to apply the same things that I did when I was wandering around Japan. So much of what we talk about today, the way that I go about doing that, the position that I take to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, the research that I do and how I do that research, the type of thing that we're doing today, for example, or the stuff that you don't always see. Like even at the theme parks, like you're not there with us every single time we're at the park. Sometimes we're testing things out and we're doing that without having to concern ourselves with the camera. We're just really focusing on the information. All of that is something that I developed over the years of doing this, you know, which I started back in 2006, but it really became a thing for me in 2011. That's when things really, like I buckled in. I was like, this is what I want to do. So, you know, I've been doing this for a while, and it's a process. It's a slow crawl sometimes, you know, but I still love doing what I'm doing, and I still love telling you guys about the places that I stumble into, and more than anything, being for you guys the person that I wish I had back when I was trying to figure things out, you know? Something just caught my eye over here. I don't know what it is. I think it's a turtle. Can you see the little dot in the center of your screen? It's having trouble focusing, but I think it's a turtle. That makes sense. But anyway, it's all those years of experience that have made me, in some cases, as stubborn as I am about sharing information the way that I do. You know, like I do what I do the way I do it for a very specific reason, and that's not going to change no matter how many comments I get, you know, or any of that stuff. I know we talk about the negative stuff every once in a while. I don't want to dig into it today. But one of the reasons I do talk about it is because I want you guys to know that despite what you might see in the comment sections or despite what people might be saying, I do what I do with a very particular purpose. Anyway, let me turn you around and give you a look at this sign. Looks like these are the animals that we can spot. I wonder if this is what we just saw in the water. I think we can look through these. It doesn't look like we have to pay for them. Let me see if I can set you up so you can see in there. Oh yeah, check that out. Can I turn you? Oh, something's making noise over there. I don't know what it is. Oh, can we see? There's something in the water. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Are you seeing anything good out there? Oh no, you're not seeing this upside down. It's just an optical illusion, I think. How cool is this? Just available right here. Wow, Russ would love it out here. I gotta take him. Unfortunately, he's not always out here with me when I'm poking around, but that just means we have to come back. Anyway, let's make our way back to the Jeep. Quick detour. I saw a sign, so I made my way up here. It looks like we got some information about the guy this park was named after. That's pretty cool. I'll tell you what, there is always something to see if you take the time to look. Always. And yes, I have been to some of the places around the country where it takes a lot of effort to look. But if you're willing to look, there's probably something interesting there. Man, it's so beautiful over here. All right, so one more stop today. We're gonna basically make our way down this road to turn around, come back down this road so that we can head down that road. I know it's a lot, but there is one last place that I've heard about before. I've always wanted to check it out, so I mean, why not? We're already here. We're like 5 minutes away. So let's head there, scope the place out, and then I think we'll call it good for today. Does that sound good to you? All right, great. Let's go. Okay, so we're like another 5 minutes down the road. It can't have been 5 minutes though. We just like doubled back and then went down the road that we initially went down and back again. It's been a lot of back and forth, but that's what this is all about. Anyway, I've made my way to, there's a whole park back here that I want to explore, and I'm going to take you along with me for that, but we're not doing that today. Now that we know it's here, we know that some of the parking is permit only, and there are definitely parking patrol vehicles going up and down. We have the information that we need about that. So we're just going to, put a pin in it and we'll come back to that. But right here in front of me is a monument that I've been wanting to check out for a long time. I heard about this a while back when I was doing a lot of poking around trying to find roadside attractions and stuff, because I think that stuff is fun. And this happens to be one of them. It's called the Monument of States. It's like a 50-foot monument that was built between 41 and 43 using like all of these different materials from a ton of different states and different countries, and famous people and presidents have donated like fossils and pieces of buildings and rocks and stuff. I've been wanting to check this out for a while, and we're gonna devote a lot of time to it. Well, a lot is relative, but we're gonna devote some time to it when we come back out here and explore around. But do you wanna go take a quick look today? We'll just pop out and get a look from kind of across the street so we can see the whole thing. Let's do it real quick. I definitely want to come back at some point, maybe with my camera that has a zoom lens, so you can get like a really good look at some of the things that are higher up on the monument. Not that I can't zoom with this camera, but it's not meant for that type of thing. Just not as good as some of the other cameras that I have. But check that out. Isn't that cool? The purpose of this, from what I understand, was to kind of show the unity of the United States around the time of World War II or something like that. Like I said, we'll talk more about this when we come back out here and devote some real time to Kissimmee and the fun stuff around the area. But there are so many different things to get a close look at on that monument. There's even a stone, which I believe to be from Harvard Medical School. Like, that's so cool. Anyway, so I feel like this kind of concludes our day here, just kind of wandering around and looking into some of the places that I'm hoping to take you in the future. Like I said, this is just kind of a look into what goes on behind the scenes, and I hope that you had fun coming along with me on this one. If you did, let me know. Is this something that you would like to see more of? Who knows? Maybe we'll pop one of these in every now and again. But we have so many things that are on the horizon. It's a little hard to see me. We have so many things coming, especially into the new year, and I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about it. I have started talking to my channel members about this, and some of them are really excited, and I hope you guys are too. But don't worry, I'll fill you in more as we get a little bit closer to the end of the year. But for now, I think it's time to make our way home, grab some lunch, and gear up for what I hope to be a pretty exciting and adventure-filled November. But yeah, like I said, I hope you had fun. I sure did. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.